Hi, my name is Isabel Schroeter, and I'm a PhD student at the University of Colorado Boulder in the Department of Ecology and Evolutionary Biology. My research is focused on the functional ecology of riparian plant communities with an emphasis on plant water use. I am also interested in applying understanding of plant resource use strategies to improve efforts to restore montane riparian ecosystems. In recent decades, riparian areas within Rocky Mountain National Park and Yellowstone National Park have experienced a shift in the type and amount of plant species occurring in riparian ecosystems. In both national parks, a similar dynamic wherein the loss of a large predatory carnivore contributed to a spike in the elk population, and therein a decline in willow-dominated riparian plant communities and willow-dependent beaver populations. Beavers in willow-dominated riparian plant communities have been shown to demonstrate an ecological mutualism, meaning that both beavers and willow species form a relationship wherein their interactions with one another yield a benefit to both species. Beavers use willows for forage and dam building, while willows benefit from the creation of beaver dams, which raise water table levels and increase flooding duration and magnitude. So, without tall, dense willow communities and an abundance of beavers similar to historical conditions, riparian areas have been a focus of park management efforts in the recent decades. In Rocky Mountain National Park, elk vegetation management efforts have built 6-foot tall fences encompassing upwards of 200 acres in aim of protecting willow and aspen habitat from elk browsing. Ultimately, the park aims to promote beaver recolonization and the restoration of riparian plant communities with this approach. For this to occur, riparian plant communities have to first recover enough in terms of species composition and structural composition so that beavers can recolonize. However, without a better understanding of how altered hydrology and browsing specifically affect plant resource use strategies, restoration of these riparian plant communities could be limited. To look at the direct and potentially interactive effects of reduced plant available water and an increase in browsing on plant traits, I will be conducting a water and browsing manipulative greenhouse experiment with dominant woody species characteristic of Rocky Mountain National Park riparian areas. In a CU Boulder greenhouse facility, I will be subjecting these common species to 6 kinds of treatments to isolate the effect of each driver and to detect interactions between drivers. Across these treatments, I will be monitoring the water status and water use of all individuals, specifically in terms of chute water potential and stomatal conductance, providing an indication of relative transpiration and water stress. In addition, I will be monitoring a suite of other functional traits that not only will help quantify plant-water relations, but will provide information about how plants might change the way in which they acquire and allocate towards resources apart from water, such as light and soil nutrients. Analyzed together, these functional traits will provide indication about how a dominant woody riparian species respond to altered hydrology and browsing. In addition, these data will allow me to compare overall species resource use strategies, providing a framework to analyze trends of species turnover and riparian monitoring plots within the park. Indian Peaks Wilderness Alliance has provided me funding for essential greenhouse and trait sample costs, and so I would like to thank you all very much for your support.